Today I'm going to talk about the great mystics, the great religious leaders, if you like, throughout history. I've studied many of them, but there are many more that I haven't studied. But they all taught self-power, not power from an institution or a religion or a group of people, although they did teach the importance of interconnectedness, that we all are interconnected and we do need each other. And somehow or another, whatever we do to another, we are doing to ourselves. Or whatever we give to another, we're giving to ourselves. But it's amazing how, and I'll say religion, has taken the teachings of the great spiritual leaders throughout history for thousands of years and made it into a man-made religion where people have to go through an intermediary to speak to God, when in reality, none of them taught that. They taught that God is within each of us, that I and my Father are one. Now, whatever the word God means to you, maybe you're angry at God, maybe you don't believe in it, maybe you think it's a fairy tale, it's a religionist for control. And you're right, a lot of it has been used to control people. It's amazing how in the Christian Bible, Jesus talks about not seeking him in buildings or building great temples for him. And yet, that's what most of the Christians do. And then we have the diversity. Look at the different religions, the Baptist, the Protestant, the Catholics, the Evangelical, the Pentecostal, the Mormons, the Latter-day Saints. I mean, how many of them is there? They all claim to be Christians, and many of them claim that they're going to heaven and you're not if you don't believe in what they believe in. And none of this is congruent with what Jesus taught. Or at least my perception of it isn't. He taught that the power is within us, that actually we're in a sea. We're within. The kingdom of heaven is within. We are within it. It is within us. And if you seek first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, which to me means right thinking well, thinking about the good, looking for the sunny side in everything and everybody, then life will flow for you and the power of God will flow through you. And I'm not talking about this in a pious or religious way, but in a way that you'll have joy and abundance in all areas of your life and riches. Now, when I say riches, that really pertains more to what riches mean to you. It's not just money, because I'm sure you know people like I do that have a lot of money but are very miserable, and you wouldn't want to trade places with them, were it not for their money. But if you don't have happiness, joy, fulfillment, inner peace, it doesn't matter how much money you have in the world, you're not going to be able to enjoy it. But I do realize that it takes a certain amount of money, because when you're lacking money, you're so focused and obsessed on money that that's all you think about. But what you think about is your lack, the lack. And if you look around in the world, there is no lack. Now, man has created lack. Are there a lack of leaves on trees? Are there a lack of blades of grass? Is there a lack of corn in a cornfield? Is there a lack of air? I mean, I could go on and on. There is no lack. Man has created lack with his greed. But you can overcome this, you can surpass this if you seek first the kingdom of God, which is within you. Now, what I mean by that is seeking, how do you uncover this power of the kingdom, that you are the king of your kingdom, and you control everything that goes on in that secret place in your inner world. No one can tell what you're thinking, but you always know what you're thinking. And someone once told me it's none of my business what you think of me, but it is my business what I think of you and what I think of myself, because these are the things that impact me. Now, a lot of people think it's fair game to gossip about politicians, about actors, actresses, and people in positions in public positions. But it doesn't make any difference, because when you do that, it affects you. Because you're the king governing your kingdom, and what are you doing? You're gossiping. You're allowing gossip to reign and rule in your kingdom. And what are you going to receive back? You're going to receive back similar from the world. You can't have let's say you have a pool of water. Let's say you have a spring. A spring bubbles up out of the ground with pure water. But yet a little bit of oil comes in. You got an oil well, not a well, but an oil coming up out of the ground too. And maybe just a little bit of it gets in the water. But it ruins all the water. And you can taste that throughout the water until you get rid of that oil that's bubbling up, maybe just droplets into the spring water. It's the same way with your mind. If you got a little bit of gossip or a little bit of hate or a little bit of resentment or envy or jealousy for someone else, and you don't find a way to let that go and look for the good in that person, this will put like it's like a resistor in an electric line. Too much resistance, you don't get the full power of the flow. And that power helps you. It brings joy to your life. It brings abundance into your life. It eliminates lack in your life. But only you can do this. So what you have to ask yourself is this: what resistance do you have to the flow of power that you need to live the life of your dreams? And you can live the life of your dreams. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I'm a bullheaded, I've been, I'll correct that sometimes still. I'm bullheaded, I'm stubborn. They used to call me bullheaded when I was a kid. I want to run the show, my will. I want things my way. And even though my motives are good sometimes, I still want to push. And what I found out, I don't have to push and toil and work my butt off to get what I want. Although if you looked at my life and you've seen how much I work, you may think I work a lot. But I enjoy it. It's not like work. I love what I do, and I do what I love. And it's not a privilege. Well, it is a privilege. But you can do it too. Excuse me. You can do it also. I'm not so special that I'm the only one that can do that. Many people are doing that. But you have to face the big one. And what is that? The fear of the unknown. Sure, when you're self-employed, you don't know whether you're going to have a job tomorrow or not. But I would get you to take a look at where you're at. Let's say you've been working for a company for 10, 20 years, 5 years, 2 years, a good stable company. They could come in tomorrow and let you go and wouldn't think twice about it. There is no security. The only security you can find is within you, within your relationship with a higher power, God, if you like, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what you call it. A trust in something greater than yourself. Because as with all people, we come to the end of ourselves. Men come to the end of themselves sometimes. And then what do you reach out for? You have to reach out for something. It can be a trust in nature, the universe, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it. But when everything goes wrong and when nothing works out and you can't make anything work, you've got to believe or trust in something other than yourself. And if you can do that and surrender to this power, you would be amazed how things will work out for you. And always look at things as happening for you and not to you. Because I think if you look back on your life, you're still here today. You're listening to me today. Something or someone or whatever has taken care of you. And God works through people. Any kind of miraculous thing that's going to happen to you is going to happen through people, through your relationships. And guess what? When you're looking for the good in everything and everybody, you're like a happier guy. You put off a better vibration, as a lot of people say. And you draw people to you to help you achieve your goals. Little synchronicities happen. Miraculous things. You happen to run into the right person at the right time, or make the right phone call. Or maybe you miss a terrible accident because you were late getting ready to leave for work. But you have to be aware of these things. And you have to realize that these little synchronicities are happening for you. And when it looks like things aren't going your way, like you're late for work and you missed that light and it just turned red, and you don't run it, but you go ahead and stop when it's still yellow, even though you think you could have made through it. Who knows where that sets you up a year, 5 years, a month, 2 months, 10 years down the road. That changed your whole projective of your future. A small thing, but it changes it. So you have to remember, when things don't seem to be going your way, You can't see the big picture. It's like looking at one piece of a puzzle with 1,000 pieces and trying to figure out what the hell it looks like. You can't do it until all the pieces are put together and until you look back in retrospect on your life and see how things worked out for you. Then you're not going to understand it. And that's where you have to trust something, because your limited mind has a very limited view. Your senses are not trustworthy. Never, well, I'll say never. I mean, if you smell smoke in your house, you better find out what's burning. But don't trust the evidence of your senses, but rather trust the vision, the God-given vision that you were born with. Or, like I said, whatever you believe, that vision that you were born with, because each of us have one. There's something we're better at than anybody else. We're here for a specific reason. And until you find out what that is, and you do that, or become that, or both, you will not find the happiness, the joy that so many people look for in drugs, alcohol, money, sex, pornography, whatever it happens to be. These things leave you unfulfilled, empty. They may give you some sense of happiness or pleasure for a moment, but they soon are lost. They're fleeting, they're temporary. But what I'm talking about is a permanent sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that only comes when you live in a certain way. We're like a machine, a very complex machine, a spiritual, emotional, mental, physical machine. We have to take care of every aspect, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. And when we take care of those things, something, somebody, God, whatever you want to call it, takes care of us. Look at the birds. Do they have to go out and struggle to get food? The flowers, they grow on their own and they come up beautiful. The birds seem to have a pretty cheery life. They know exactly what to do, and they know exactly where to go to get fed. We don't have to work so hard. Well, maybe I'll back up and say we do have to work hard. Work hard on allowing life to flow. We're taught from the time we're in school that if it's going to be, it's up to me. And there's enough truth in that lie to make us pursue that into the gates of insanity or death. How many people have killed themselves working hard, too hard, because they hated what they do, but they chase that money, because money is a necessity. And I don't believe, I've read, and I'm not sure, the love of money is not the root of all evil. I read that it was supposed to be the lust of money, because you can love your wife, you can love your home, you can love your job, you can love your kids. Why can't you love money? There's nothing wrong with loving anything. You can love God, you can love nature, you can love your car, your city, your fellow man, and you can love money. Money is nothing but a tool. It's an energetic tool, a means of transaction. They used to trade cows and sheep and pigs and chickens. Now we have money. Some people may still trade that in some parts of the world. So should they have hated chickens and cows and pigs? It's no different. No, you don't want to hate money. If you hate money, you're going to repel it. There's nothing wrong with loving money. But you don't want to put it first and foremost in your life, although sometimes it seems like we need to put it first and foremost. If you put God first, and like I said, whatever your perception of God is, whatever that means to you, and if you've been turned off by that word because of religion, then pick something that works for you. Nature, the universe, the sun, the moon. It's a power greater than yourself, that's for sure. And then who knows what that will develop into for you. I have no description of I say God as I don't understand him. Because if God is omnipotent, supposed to be this great being, although I don't really know what to believe. I know many people try to put a label on God, but if God is omnipotent, then how can we, as mere humans, be able to describe something that is beyond our description? So what do? Even in the great religious texts, we use our words, our limited vocabulary. He's a jealous God, he's an angry God, he's a punishing God. Well, if God was God, I think he's a little bigger than getting jealous at me or angry with me. I can make God angry. Well, he wouldn't be much of God if I could make God angry. So what do they really mean by that? I take it as it means that when you don't live your life in a certain way, there are consequences. But it's not from an angry God, it's the way we are designed. If I treat people badly, people treat me badly, and I suffer the consequences of that. It's not God sending those people to hurt me. It's something I brought about by cause and effect. The cause lies within my mind. I may never even do anything to them physically or in the world of reality, but in my mind, what am I thinking about those people? Am I thinking about the best that is in them, the best that is in everybody, or am I thinking about how I think they're disgusting or they should be better or do better or I don't want to talk to them or I'm better than they are? Is that what I'm thinking? Maybe I smile and say hi and then turn around and talk to my buddy and say, God, that guy's a work, isn't he? Man, he's a mess. Look at them clothes he's wearing. He's never going to amount to anything. I just will be saying that about myself. Actually, somebody did talk to me that way when I was young. But they did the best they could. What I'm saying is when you think of the best, try to see the best in everybody and everything, see their potential. Now, I'm not telling you to have a relationship with somebody based on their potential, but you help these people. And more than helping them, you help yourself. Because as I said, what you send out there, well, I didn't say it in this way, what you put out into the world comes back. And what you give out there comes back. And both of those, the latter and the former, come back to you multiplied. I've lived both sides. Until I was about 30 years old, I lived pretty well for myself. Pleasures, satisfactions, my comfort. And one day I ended up in my apartment. I looked in the mirror and I didn't like what I saw. Actually, I hated what I saw. And I walked into my bedroom and I thought to myself, here you are by yourself. And you know why? Because that's all you ever thought of was yourself. It was kind of an epiphany. I won't tell you that I changed the very next day, but it started me thinking that if I only think of myself and try to get what's good for me, then eventually, here I am, I'm going to end up by myself. And I was pretty well at the bottom there. So I started changing and trying to help other people and do things for other people. And today I have a big family, although I'm single, but I'm with my 6 kids. And I've got grandkids now. I really don't want to say that, but I do. I have a company and my sons work. We work together in the company. We're partners. We have a good time at work. I love what I do. I could go on and on about the material things, but I have a sense of fulfillment at the end of every day. Is every day perfect? No, but it's perfectly better than it used to be when I lived for myself and I lived for the pleasures and the comforts of the material world. Not that I'm some kind of spiritual giant, because I'm not. I'm growing just like we all are. But I'm growing in the direction of becoming better than I was yesterday. But I accept where I am today. And that's what you need to do. Accept where you are today. There's nothing wrong with where you are. You're exactly where you're supposed to be and the way you're supposed to be today. Quit beating yourself up for your past mistakes. That's what it took to get you here today. And you're going to make mistakes in the future. Yes, we're all sinners, just like they say. But as I've told you guys before, the word sin comes from an Anglo-Saxon term used in archery, in which what it means is to miss the mark, to miss the bullseye. So, yes, we miss the mark every day. We make mistakes every day. But it doesn't make you bad. Mistakes don't make you bad. I know you're taught in school that an F, failure. Oh, who wants to bring that home? But had you not failed so many times in your life, you wouldn't have learned what you have learned today. You wouldn't have even been trying. If you're not failing, you're not trying. If you're not failing, you're not trying. The greatest successes in the world, in history, have been some of the greatest failures. Babe Ruth, Thomas Edison, and the list goes on ad infinitum. Because they were trying to do something that no one else could do or had done, many of them. So Join the greats. Fail more today. Go out there and fail as much as you can. And that's how you become a true success in life. Don't be afraid to fail. I failed many, many times. But pick yourself up and keep going because you're on the road to destiny of greatness. Thanks for joining me today. Hit that like button, subscribe, share this with a friend if you think it'll help them. Take care.